Right. Hello, Capricorn. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me today. We're going to take a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks, focusing specifically on the month of July to try to bring you all of the guidance and all of the clarity that you need to really make it an amazing month. This is my little furry assistant here, Apollo. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Welcome to your monthly forecast. I'm going to put this little guy down so he can relax and we can get to work. All right, so if you're brand new, let me just go over what to expect today. As you can see here, we're going to go through a lot of different parts of your month. It's not just a simple 3-card pull or a simple Celtic Cross. We'll begin with some channeled messages that came through dreams and meditation. Then I will go into that Celtic Cross, and then we expand it and go a little further, looking at specific areas that I know you all care about, including health, wealth, love, and destiny. And then we have some interactive portions where I'll take a look at some things that I think deserve a little bit more time and effort, and then I also let you vote on that. And towards the very end, we look at specific messages for sun, rising, and moon, so you can kind of fine-tune this if you're watching for any of those specific aspects of your chart, but you can use it for anything, including Venus and whatever else you happen to know in your chart. And at the very end, if you have a question, stick around because I always pull an extra card towards the end so you can focus on just enjoying the reading in the meantime. You don't have to type any questions, and that's the overarching sort of organization. And before we get into those channel messages, just a couple of quick notes. If you would like to chat live in any of these live readings, please hit the subscribe button. It's free and it gives you that chance to, again, participate if you're watching a live. If you'd like to keep up with what's coming through in readings and any schedule changes, also subscribe and hit that bell icon as well. Liking is free. You can do it once per video, so help me do that, and it will basically let YouTube know that this is good content and serve it up. You can also keep track of what's going on by following me on social media. It's always my name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all major platforms except Twitter, which is nashbaugh. And just a quick note, if you do follow me on social media, remember I don't offer private readings. I don't send direct messages. There's a lot of people out there, particularly on Instagram, that pop up and pretend to be me and then message people. Also happened on TikTok, also happened on Twitter. So if anybody's messaging you and it looks suspect, it is. This is the only way for us to chat. And so I just appreciate that all of you show up and you're smart about this, and we'll together kind of like get rid of those imposters. If you'd also like information on my upcoming schedule, it's always listed on my website. I try to post a video at least a day before so you can, the schedule of it, so you can always click the reminder if you want to. Okay, so that, my friends, is the sort of overarching overview. Let's get ready for the channel messages. I'm going to tuck in my dog behind me because he does go a little crazy in the background before I get started. All right, buddy, I'm getting to work now. All right, so with that being said, let me get the presentation ready. We had a really cool totem today that came up. I don't think I've actually worked with this symbol before for you. It's the hippopotamus, which is a really cool and beautiful semi-aquatic mammal. And it's pretty darn big too. I think it was the 3rd biggest one on Earth behind elephants and something else. I have to look at it. But let's talk a little bit about the hippo. First of all, its name comes from the ancient Greek for river horse, and it's not a horse, of course. Like I said, it's a mammal instead. It's actually a pretty aggressive one. So despite the fact that it looks kind of cuddly or it's like something that you could pet, it is unpredictable. It can be aggressive, and they signify a need or an opportunity for us to sort of deal with some sort of a power or an authority figure. The fact that it is called like that river horse in its name is significant when we're looking at a totem. The horse being closely connected to the chariot being about control. And there are usually 2 horses on the chariot. And there's somebody controlling or steering the chariot. So the question for you this month is, who's the boss? And maybe if there's an opportunity for you to speak up or to kind of deal with an authority situation, are you feeling confident? Have you found your voice? Have you found that sort of even footing that you need in order to really see someone eye to eye, meet the challenge, etc.? Basically, it's also reminding us to stay calm, cool, calm, and collected, basically, and avoid unnecessary conflict. Although I chose this beautiful horse here from the Wild Unknown Tarot, You can easily go to 9 of Cups or the 10 of Swords with this particular animal totem because of its unpredictability. So I would say trying to find a way to not let your emotions rule you, but instead to kind of stay cool, calm, and collected. That's key. All right. You can do anything you put your mind to. You have this ability to adapt, and this particular totem shows you that as well. It inhabits rivers, lakes, and swamps, and they also have this ability to protect UV kind of like coating on their skin. So I love that they've adapted to their environments. They thrive in a place where many other animals, including like a traditional, it's not a horse, but if you put a horse in the situation, it wouldn't do a very good job. So we see an animal here who's learned to adapt. And that adaptability is something that would be intrinsic with the Magician card, being able to make anything that you need to out of a situation. So I said a situation is whatever you decide to see it as, to embrace it as. And so if you are going to consider something to be a great learning opportunity or a chance to rise up, you'll rise up. If you feel like it's going to get the better of you, it will. So the Magician manifests what it sees here and here, and it projects it outward. So see it as a chance for you to thrive and to rise up. And like I said, where others may feel stuck in their lives or let things get under their skin, you have a chance to push through this. There may be some challenges in your environment. You may have a relative who's going through, really challenging time at present, and part of your challenge will be to help them see it differently. Or maybe, there's just a lot going on at work, and it gets to you sometimes. So this is a chance to reframe the narrative and decide like this isn't what I want it to be. That's your truth, that's your perception or projection, but that's not mine. Sometimes you can say this literally. Sometimes you want to just keep it to yourself or give someone a different point of view. You can always say, have you ever considered this, or have you looked at it from this perspective? And see if they're open. Not everyone is going to be open to discussing this or talking about this. So your choice right now is, what do I want to make of it and what do I want to do about it? Keep your eyes and ears open. Another example of adaptability is, I'm not sure if it's like a necessitating membrane, but it has some sort of a membrane that comes over its eyes, kind of like you would see in different animals. I think, owls and birds have it, and many different animals have this sort of protective lens. Fun fact, even though it's not in this totem, right in the corner of our eyes, basically, we have a little bit of a vestige of that, and that's the tear duct. And if you look at it, it kind of does look, so at one point in our history, it was a necessitating lens that went across, and now it's just a little tear duct. So fun fact that I remember from some of my research and looking up something on an animal. I'm like, oh, we have that as well. So this membrane, this protection where, again, other people wouldn't be able to see it, reminds you that you can also kind of see an opportunity and seize it, which is why I put the Queen here, the Empress. You can not only thrive, but you can probably find a way to lead people when they're lost. They're looking to you for clear vision, for a clear point of view. So you can do this. You will do this, okay? And that's the way you've got to look at that. All right. Be bold. We're seeing a lot of power symbols with this. It's a bold symbol. So whenever I get something like a whale or an elephant or a hippo, I'm going to kind of go towards the bolder symbols. So it's a time to step out and speak on your own. Don't be afraid to be bold and share your point of view. Don't be afraid to hold your ground, and that's why we put the Strength card here. So I'm sure you've all had an example where somebody steps in and they try to interrupt, or they, with body language or even tone of voice, try to cut you off. When you learn to kind of stand up to that and see the surprise on the other person, you'll realize you never have to let somebody do that again. So if somebody's not letting you finish, you can say, I've listened to what you had to say. It's only polite to let me finish. Don't interrupt, or we're not having an equal conversation here. And it changes the tone a little bit. It went from you being passive to you saying, no, that doesn't work with me. Make sure that you're using facts. Make sure that you're speaking up when it makes sense. But if you do that effectively, you'll see them step back and then you say, thank you. All right, and then even if they're saying something you don't want to hear, listen. And then the same thing, at some point say, all right, you've spoken for like 2 or 3 minutes. It's my turn now. So you may have to do this. We see a little bit of aggression in this card. It's always a part of it. The key to this one is not to go overboard. And not to try to put words in their mouth and not to let them put words in yours. There's a little bit of a tug of war. That's a part of the strength card. The key is she has a way of always getting what she needs to get done. So you can do it, but it is a dance. It's a power dance, if you will. But again, this particular totem is a force to be reckoned with. So as long as you aren't unpredictable, which is a part of this totem, you'll be okay. You want to rein it in. That's why I chose 3 cards that show that reining in energy. The Chariot, the Queen, the Empress, and now the Strength card. You have to be in control of emotions, know why they're coming through, but then say, okay, I can use this in a way that's going to surprise and is going to help emphasize or punctuate my message as well. And then dive in. We're going to end with the Fool here, which is basically saying if there's something you know that you need to do, do it. We have a half water, half land totem. So you're going to be able to figure out the practical or strategic sort of pieces of it, and then also have fun with the creative elements. I could have also put the King of Cups here. So it's a combination of earth and water that's going to make things work for you today. And you can do that. So some of you may have water placements. You already have the earth. So you may just need to kind of lean into the creative place and go with the flow. And even if we're going to go with a land metaphor, which is probably why I chose the Fool, it's just about taking one step at a time. Okay? So those are the main messages here for the totem. It's a fun one. I don't think I've done the hippopotamus before. As I was walking Apollo, that's what popped into my third eye. And I'm like, all right, well, we'll talk about this. This is a strange totem, and then I did my research. I'm like, you know what? It's a cool totem and it's a really strong totem. So I'm glad that it presented itself for you today. While I'm getting ready for the next part of the reading, do any of you have some requests for cards that you'd like to see today? Let me know. I'm going to kind of just start to pick some that I'm curious to put out for you. So let's get started here. Let's see. I probably will get at least one that has some Earth-like energy. But funny enough, I was watching TV the other day, and I actually saw this one on television and recognized it. So one of them that I'm going to put out there is the Robin Wood Tarot. And it was actually on like Grace and Frankie. I was going through Netflix and I saw this episode where they were going to a psychic. And I'm like, all right, let me watch this one. And I recognize this because this was the second deck that I picked up when I was learning tarot. It's a fun one. So I'm going to pull that one out just because it showed itself to me. Definitely, I've been putting this into rotation quite a bit lately. So you guys get to choose if you're sick of it. But we'll put the Wild Unknown because I did feature that beautiful horse card, so I like that one as well. I think Green Witch makes sense for you guys today as well, so give me a second to find where that one is, if I can find it. And let's see. Okay, maybe in the Fountain as well. I agree that those are some great choices. That'll probably do it for today, so give me a second just to find the ones that you're talking about. All right, so the Green Witch. Where did you go, Green Witch? Let's see. All right, while we're doing that, just a reminder of what we're going to be covering today in case you joined a couple of minutes late. Sorry, as I'm making some noise in the background. I may not be able to find the Green Witch, so I'm going to go to a backup if I can. So just give me a second. Yeah, the Green Witch is out of sight right now. So I'm going to pull the Fountain here, give you a chance to look at these as I'm getting set up. And I'm going to pull a different earth-based one here, which is going to be Wildwood, just because I can't find where the Green Witch one is, so we're going to go with what we've got. All right, so these are a good cross-section of cards. Sorry I couldn't find the Green Witch, but it's all good. All right, so let's get going here, and I'm going to set up the poll for you to begin with here. I think I have it in the other room, so it's just not worth fussing with at the moment. All right, so we have Robin Wood Tarot. We have Wild Unknown. We have the Fountain Tarot. And we have the Wildwood Tarot. Okay, so there you go. And let's look at a few cards from each in case you're unfamiliar with how these look. So this one is the one that I mentioned. It's just a friendly deck, and again, it was one that I learned on. Rider-Waite-Smith derivative, but there you go, just because I'd seen it the other day. And now this one is one that I actually featured a card from, so it's significant for your sign. Beautiful. I had taken it out of rotation a few months ago just because sometimes the wands and swords look very similar. It just requires a little extra diligence from me, but I love it. This is the Fountain Tarot, very light colored, very sort of etheric view, and definitely a little bit goes out on its own in places the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith derivatives do not. It's gorgeous, as you can tell. And then, because I couldn't find the other one, I'm going with this one. It actually nicely pairs up. Usually when I'm doing Wild Wood, I do Wild Unknown. But this is a nice forest theme. So some nice earthy energies. This one has a little bit more air. This is somewhere in between. So let's see which one is winning right now. Oh, you guys want to do the Robin Wood? It's a tie between these two. Okay, so we have a pretty much a two-way tie. So I use them both when we get a tie. So you're going to get to see both of them because as I go through the cards here, basically there's going to be a chance for almost 10 of each the way that my reading is set up. So what I normally do is let the decks decide which one is going to win, and we take the highest card, and that becomes the center. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8. Are you serious? All right. We'll do a second card. Strength wins. Okay, so we're going to start with Wild Unknown, and then we're going to do this. Okay. I like that there was ties and ties. All right, so welcome everyone. We're getting into the Celtic Cross, and I promise next time, just remind me, I'll make sure that we pull out the Green Witch for consideration. I just couldn't find it this morning. It didn't want to show up. Oh, I was going to use that center card. It's okay. We're good. It was the strength card, right? Let me find it real quick. I'll pull that out because I usually let that be the center if I can find it again. It's all right. We talked about strength in the totem. Let's let some other messages come through because we already kind of covered how important it is for you to stand your own ground, for you to kind of focus on dancing that dance between telling someone and showing someone the way, etc. All right. So let me zoom out just a smidge so you can see this better. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you today. Oh, I see the three-way tie. Fountain. Sorry, it wasn't a three-way when I was ending. I'll find a way to incorporate it. There's enough today that we'll be able to do it. Okay, card just flipped. Realizing that there's only so much I can look at, guys. It really wasn't three-way when I ended the poll, so I'll pull it to the side. But we do have a lot that we can look at today, so I'll do my best to intermix these three. All right. I see it's a three-way. We can stop saying that. So just give me a chance to kind of focus on the reading, and this one is the one that kind of jumped out. I will incorporate the other one, so just give me a chance to kind of focus. We only had 36 votes. Please, I see we have a lot more people watching. If you get a chance, if you're not watching on a TV or on a device that doesn't support it, vote. Clearly on a day like today, it matters. Same thing on the weekends sometimes. I'm always surprised when we don't get a lot of votes because yeah, you can make a big difference. and help me not have to pull so many cards to tie break. Okay, don't worry. We'll find a way to pull these into all the different things today. I like this deck. It's nice and bold for today, so I think this was the right one for the center portion. I really like the Fountain Tarot as well, so we'll figure it out. All right, let's get into your main message here. We're going to start with a card that I call the Catalyst. A catalyst is a way for you to basically kick the month off in the right energy to make the positive changes that you need to in any given month. And it's also like the overarching message. So as we look at that, vulnerability is coming through as something you want to focus on. Vulnerability is not necessarily either good or bad. The positive aspect of vulnerability is that when you put yourself out there and you show your flaws, your sensitivities, your creativity, your story, a lot of times that it helps open you up to other people because they realize, wow, there's something that you've gone through that I've gone through as well that makes you more relatable, etc. So if you can find something that's universal, something that you're proud to talk about, something that you overcame, it may be worth kind of opening up and being a little bit more vulnerable, even if that's not your comfort zone. Other people may find that it's easy to talk to you. They may be feeling vulnerable themselves. So this is just about opening up your heart this month and being as empathic and sympathetic of others' challenges as possible. So either they're afraid to come to you, or they're very open to coming to you, or you may want to open up to them. It's basically using your heart to kind of feel out a situation before going straight to the cognitive piece here. So really feel it out here first and let that be your compass. All right, that's the main message here. We see the meadow here, which also portends growth and a new sort of springtime energy. So for those of you that have been dealing with a loss or a breakup or a divorce, what we're seeing now is the period that comes after winter. We see a beautiful spring. And we have to go through that winter of loss. Emotions are seasonal, relationships are seasonal. So when somebody passes from our life, whether it's a temporary sort of, estrangement, whether it's divorce or whether it's death, we still go through a mourning process. And for some of us, the winter lasts a little bit longer. But what I see here is a springtime energy coming. So a rebound or a bouncing back or a growth after a period of stagnation. And that ties nicely to the hippopotamus energy, where, again, it's in a place where a lot of other things couldn't live, a swampy sort of energy, which for me shows stagnation, which would be like death reverse, but it thrives, which is more like judgment. So you have this ability to thrive, to bounce back, to surprise yourself, and to surprise others, okay? We have the Sun card here at the center, and the Sun card is in reverse. So a couple of interesting things. Literally, my guides are saying if you're in a conversation right now and somebody tries to make it about them, you could say, this isn't about you. This is actually about you, the one that is watching this. And it's okay this month to make something more about your narrative. So the Sun card is ego, it's boldness, it's charisma, it's you, it's birthing of something. The reversal of this is saying that it's overdue, and it's okay in this moment in time, particularly since I'm reading for you, and this is at the center of the spread, for you to make sure that you get your energy out there, that you get your first step out of the door, okay? And if somebody tries to make it about them, and it happens sometimes, you could say, thank you for the feedback. I think we're getting off topic here, though. This is what I was talking about. Or sometimes you just have to say, this is something that I need to say, that I need to state. Please don't try to take the spotlight. Please don't make this about you. There's other ways to do it without being so on the nose, but for the sake of a brevity here in the reading, that's what I'm kind of getting as the message, and that's what my guides kept kind of pumping into my ears. It's not about them, it's about you. Now, this could also be their not so subtle way to say take accountability. So make sure that if you need to fix something, you could just say, I'm sorry that this happened, and I'm sorry. Sometimes we don't need to qualify things. For a good apology, I'm sorry. Not I'm sorry that I hurt you, just I'm sorry, and I want to help make this better. Where are you at? So you can kind of like, just taking that accountability is great. Also, if you did something right and someone tries to step in, you can say, wait a second, remember that we did this, this, and this. I helped you with this. Equal footing. So it's about taking ownership, taking accountability, and not letting someone else make a situation about them. There's a lot of powerful things that are punching through with this particular sun card, okay? Ultimately, we see movement, growth, and expansion. You can just see the brilliance here of that. And sometimes when you're in a situation where things are going in a really cool direction, it's kind of like looking into the sun. It's hard to see the shape of things, right? So you're here this month to help remind people of the shape of what's behind that brilliance, right? Okay, crossing the sun, we have the Queen of Swords. Record keeping is coming through as a message here. Make sure that you document everything. Make sure that you have like daily conversations with people to clear the air, to clear expectations, to make sure that everybody understands. Communication is key. Communication is going to help you get through any of the fuzziness that came through with that sun card, and you're going to thrive. But leadership is also a part of this, so don't be afraid to step in and say, this is what we're doing, or this is what I want, or this is what we said. Your communication is also the sort of compass. That's nice. I like that. Your communication is a compass, and you're going to lead people back to the right path. All right? So coming through in the deep past, we have the devil. The devil has to do with some of the power dynamics that I was picking up on in the channel messages. It could also be about someone saying that they were going to do something, and then they don't. Someone that tries to step in to get in the way of you in success. A lot of times it's about conditional energy or blocks. So the conditional piece would be, I love you as long as you do this, or why can't you be more like this person? The condition can also be, it's really kind of like the example of what I just said, but it could be something where they say that if you do this, then I'll leave. It could be that sort of threat of a conditional sort of love as well. It could also just be someone going back on their word. So the devil typically doesn't keep its word. It likes to control. It will hold on to things when it shouldn't. So like if someone is afraid of you succeeding, they might try to insert fear in your head so that you don't go after this. So remember, you're strong enough to do what you need to do. If someone agreed to do something, hold them to that. Not only are you accountable, but they are accountable as well. And if it is your time to go or grow or expand in a different direction because the sun was at the center and it's about birthing, it's overdue. This person will either grow with you or go their own way, okay? And ultimately, it is a past energy. And it's you, by the way, so it's fine that we get a devil and a Capricorn reading, but I like to look at the other energies around this. So know yourself, if we just look at it as a representation of your sign. But if we look at it as the devil card, it's rising above those things that we just talked about. Being truthful, being strong enough to go down a path even if someone isn't supportive or can't see why you need to, and then letting go of any sort of vices or addictions or things that you do to numb your ability to just see things as they are, okay? It's a past influence, it's not a present, but there could be a temptation that comes through, and your challenge or opportunity is to rise above it. We have the King of Swords here, and so we have a partnership that's playing an important or integral part in your current sort of life experience. This could be parents, mom and dad. This could be you and your partner. This could be you and a future partner. But what we're looking at is someone who's really similar to you. The King of Swords and the Queen of Swords have a very, very similar energy. So what I would say right now is if there's someone that likes, this is why I was talking about the importance of figuring out how to not let someone talk over you. Because if you have a lot in common, you're going to be butting heads. So you might work out a certain amount of time that you're going to hold the floor or talk about something. And so conversations and overarching or over talking or talking over one another, I think this is going to be your challenge. Getting to the point, getting in and out of something, that's going to be key here to being successful and to not sort of wasting time just going in circles. This is actually an elevated version of So if we'll zoom back in. So the Queen of Swords is nurturing, is able to kind of steer a conversation in the direction that she needs it. But the King of Swords is able to step in and say, let's do this now. Let's fix this now. There's even more power coming through. I don't really read gender, even though I use the pronoun there. I'm going to just say they. So by the time we get to this, we can see that they're ready. We can see that the person is stepping in and saying, no, this is how it needs to happen. So I feel like you're finding your footing in communication, and you're able to say no, or you're able to push back. And that's going to be a really important piece to your narrative and to your success this month. And now we have the Ace of Swords. Do we see a theme here? Conversation and basically taking power and using your voice as a way to sort of like get what you need. The Ace of Swords in reverse, a few things here. Not being afraid to revise. So if there's a contract in front of you and you don't like it, we see the sword reverse, which is like a pen, and it's redlining it and saying, not this, this. The Ace of Swords is also what we are thinking of ourselves, so it can be overly critical. So don't be critical without a constructive element. If there's nothing that you can do about something, you have to really think of the solution before you sit there and kind of beat yourself up. Or if it is out of your control, then you have to think of things that you can impact or you can control. And before speaking to someone, make sure that you're coming with a solution as well as a complaint. Say, this is really bothering me, and we've had a lot of conversations about it. I've been doing some thinking, and I have an idea. Are you open? Do you want to hear this? Because I think this could help. That's a lot more palatable than, I don't like you, or this sucks. Even that sort of, it's not a good, those aren't great words. So you can say, this is frustrating me. It seems like we're spinning wheels. Have you considered this? I also tried this for a while and it didn't work. What if we go on this path? Let's entertain another option because this clearly isn't working. If you use those, it's a lot more words, but it's more descriptive rather than I don't like it, it stinks. You have to kind of articulate. And this month you have to use your words. Use words to empathize with the other person, to suggest, and then also to lead. So that's why we're getting the 3 swords coming through, basically. And that's also, if we look at how to have a good argument with someone, debate is a better word. You have to begin at a common ground. You start saying, I hear you, I see you, I was there. I also hear, see, and feel the frustration you're feeling because I'm in it with you. Here's how we can fix it. Here's what I'd like to do. Do you want to be a part of this? So I see you, I feel the same frustration, and I see a solution. Even saying those things in that order is really effective rather than this stinks. You're just stating an obvious point, which will just exacerbate something. It's like scratching, putting salt in a wound. We have to come through and put a salve on that and kind of help someone find a better way, okay? Looking at the near future here, we have the 9 of Cups, passion, excitement, positivity at its best. So it's bringing the best forward. 9 of Cups can go in either direction. It is upright, so I feel like we can just focus on the positive, and that's the power here. If you go too far or you don't read the temperature of the room and you're really, really positive when other people are not, or if you're bragging when other people are struggling, that's when this card can kind of go to extremes. Or vice versa, you're really complaining and everyone else is having a good day. So take a temperature check, read the room, see which direction the wind is blowing, and make sure that you're not going completely counter to that. I think if you do that, you're going to be fine, and find a positive way to deal with things. Try to find, easier said than done. It's not about like wrapping everything up in a neat bow. But for instance, if you've lost your job and you have a chance now to get out of a really toxic work environment and find something that's better, like just environmentally better, that would be good. If you could find a trajectory that's better, that's an example of how the job ending was a blessing. Or if someone broke up with you, and as you have time to think about it, you think, they really weren't listening to me. They really were doing this, and that wasn't great. Now I have a chance to heal and to find someone that's a better match for me. Ultimately, I was just talking with a neighbor on the street yesterday who is clearly kind of connected to spirit. But I was saying that, we have this capacity to create what we need to out of a narrative and see things as, I say this here on the readings a lot, rejection is a blessing. It's protection. Rejection is protection because it rhymes. The universe is coming through and saying, you could do better than this. I have something better for you. Are you ready to see it? And it's really just the internal a part of you saying, yes, I'm ready for more. I'm ready for love and abundance in a higher form than this. And I'm ready to be surprised by something that I didn't expect. So just stay open and be ready to be surprised for positive news. I'm ready for the good news. Bring it on in. Okay? Let's take a look at the next few cards here. So here's how you show up. This is my favorite card from the deck, possibly. Not because it's drawn the best, but because of what it symbolizes. So a lot of times I'll pull this out when I'm talking about the regular Hierophant card. Traditional Hierophants, we see the Pope, we see two disciples, and we see the keys crossed in front of them. The messages that you can discern from this is that he is the gatekeeper, and they are waiting to receive messages, and they have to sort of almost bow to that gatekeeper. This card is saying you are like the locksmith, the key, the gatekeeper, the gate itself. It's an evolved version of it. And what we're seeing is the paradigm breaking, the hierarchical sort of paradigm, the patriarchal paradigm, the sort of ridiculous gatekeeping necessity that we've had to go through in the past. So also just the connection between you and spirit, you and source. So all of that is shattered, not just with this illustration, but the fact that the Hierophant is in reverse. So because traditionally that, even if I was looking at the other illustration, I would say it's time to break down what used to work and it's time to make a new plan. And this one is saying you don't need someone else to tell you what to do. Use your voice. We see the raven cawing there. And take this opportunity and open your own door. Don't wait for someone to open it for you. So I really love what this has to say. And it's saying also for you that this is the time, this next month and a half, it's a time to basically make the change that you need to make and know that you can do it and know that you have all the skills necessary. Because this card comes after the magician, the high priestess, the emperor, the empress, and it contains power, basically. It has all the lessons of those energies. So you have strength and power, and you have creativity and connection to the divine. So pull it together in a really unusual way, and that's what's going to allow you to create your own door. You're the key maker, the locksmith, or the door maker, whatever you want to say. You can do this. Here's what's standing between you and this really cool opportunity is the Nine of Swords. And this is there's a lot in this. It's not my favorite card in the deck, but it does indicate kind of what the Nine of Swords is, which can be fear, nightmare, energy, kind of like putting yourself in a spiral of what could go wrong. But it's usually not as bad as it seems. This is if any of you watched the latest season of Stranger Things, this is like the antagonist. It basically goes in and it finds the thing that you're afraid of and uses it, kind of like we've seen it in horror movies before, but it's that kind of energy. So what I would say with the Nine of Swords is know your fear, know your trigger, and do something about it. Figure out how to empower yourself and say, this doesn't make me afraid anymore because usually for me, it's like doing research. So knowledge is a great way to transmute fear. When you know something about something that scares you, you feel like you have knowledge, and knowledge is a weapon or a tool to fight the fear in your mind. So I would say just use something like that to help you through the unknown. The other thing with the Nine of Swords is to pay attention to the quality of sleep, the quantity of sleep, and make sure that you're doing something to make the best of both of those. I've talked about this one thing that until I find a new place and until construction's done, I've just made a schedule. Even on days that I don't work, I just go to bed early so that I can get used to getting up, because it takes a certain amount of, I need that sort of ingrained energy in. So every night I go to bed around 7 or 8 o'clock, and then I get up at around 4:30 in the morning. I can't 3 o'clock, and by 4:30 I'm out the door with the dog. So just to make sure that I can do this for you without interruptions. But that took a couple months of programming because I was really tired at the beginning, and I'm normal now. I can't wait until I can do this again at 9 o'clock because it'll feel like a luxury. But we can adjust, and you can adjust. And if you have to do something like that, for those of you that have been like a nurse, an RN that works a night shift, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you're a trucker, or if you're someone that has to do security at night, you have to then find your sleep in the daytime. So program your body and keep it every day. That's what I've been doing, even on days that you have off. Keep that schedule, and that will help you. Make sure that you're consuming things that are pleasant before bed. So I'm talking not just about I'm not actually talking about food. I'm talking about environmental things. So maybe reading a positive book or something, or listening to some music that you like before you go to sleep, rather than listening to the news, rather than, sort of agitating yourself with a conversation with someone that you don't like. Environmentally build things up in a way that makes you feel comfortable before you go to sleep, and that's key. And then also making sure that you set intentions. So you can pull in archangelic or sort of divinity into your archangelic protection, and divine protection into your sleep space. Simply put, you can just say, please, you can call in Archangel Michael or God itself and just say, please protect me, allow my sleep to be elevated, and allow me to connect only with energy of love, light, compassion, and God, something like that. So you can make a quick sleep prayer or intention before you go to sleep. You can also say, just allow me to sleep through the night. Let me get a good night's sleep. I really need it. And then, keep the distractions at bay. So set some intentions on what you would like to do with your sleep time. And you can also kind of assuage the energy of what we see here. Okay. So looking at the Eight of Cups, making and breaking a cycle. I really like this card because it's clear on what you need to do, which is to break a cycle. But some of you need to step away from something before you're comfortable doing so. So what's missing in this picture is the person walking away. And it's basically saying, all right, then I just need some time and space. And so what you can do during this period of time and space, though, is communicate with those that are waiting for you, because this is leaving quite a void, and people may not know what to do in that void. So if you're taking a sabbatical, for instance, or if you are, if it's a vacation or something, this is saying, do yourself a favor and check in once with somebody and just say, thanks for the time. I'm doing okay. Is everything okay with you? Just one little check-in can help, because it does look like you're MIA or someone else is MIA. So if someone else was taking a break and you just want to check in, I think it's okay at a certain point to do that. The fact that they are absent could also indicate that they've chosen to go their own way. This is the traditional card. So we see that there's space to return. This is a very different illustration of it, though. In this one, we actually don't see the person, and it looks like the cycle's been broken. So let's take this from the 2 points of view. If you've decided you don't want something, say it. Don't leave the door constantly open because you're hanging on to something and someone else is hanging on to something. If someone else has moved on but hasn't done you the credit of telling you so, after a certain amount of time, you have permission to move on. You have the autonomy to do that. So, especially if it's been years and someone hasn't gotten back to you, you can decide, all right, I need to move forward. My life is important too. And when or if they come back, I'll deal with it then. And part of their sort of accountability and responsibility is that they didn't come back and let you know. So you have a chance to break a cycle, but you have to tell someone that it's broken, that it's done, that I'm ready to move on. Free yourself by saying, I don't want this anymore, or I quit if you need to, or you're stepping away, okay? So I see the possibility of letting something leave your life, but by saying it, it's going to be so much stronger, okay? If you want to start something new, you can. Really, truly let go of the old thing. This is the old thing. This is breaking that cycle. And then you get a chance to start something new. And we have another ace here, the Ace of Wands. Here's an interesting thing. Ace of Swords and Ace of Wands in relationships can indicate different things. This is showing me that there's maybe too much talking, or that the communication is getting you into a strange place where you're kind of getting worked up over nothing. And this one is showing me that there could be a lot of like physical compatibility, but maybe mentally you're not there, or conversationally you guys aren't hitting it off. So we'll look at this a little deeper when I get into relationships in a moment. I'm seeing communication issues, but maybe oddly enough, a physical connection that somehow is fine and okay. Also, there could be some of you that are in a relationship where you've broken it off, but you still get back together sometimes. And that's what could be breaking this time, is that sort of physical component is continuing long after the stress of the relationship or the contract. And this could also be contact with someone, a former boss or a former employee, long after the connection has been severed. And you have to just say, like, I've moved on, or I can't do this. It could be positive. Sometimes you quit and someone wants you back, right? But basically you could just say, no, I'm moving on, or I'm choosing this instead. Ultimately, ending with this Ace of Wands card in the main Celtic Cross is portending good things, because it's saying, I have an idea of what I want. I have a vision of what I want to do. I'm going to stick with that vision. I'm going to really focus on something different this time around. Okay? So let's go ahead now and expand your forecast. In the expanded forecast, we like to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each is multi-part. Each is going to help us have an additional lens to look at this. So let's begin with your health card first. And with your health card this month, we have the Bear Spirit, and it's talking about healing. So with the Bear card reversed, as it was when I'm looking at it, it's basically saying some of you might be coming out of this feeling of protecting yourself, hibernation, or you might also be saying, I'm not going to let the grumpy part of myself come out anymore. I'm focusing now on putting myself out in the public a little bit, giving myself a chance to see the world again from a different point of view. I'm waking up. Also, we're looking at sleep and wake. Some of you are having this sort of groggy energy getting up in the morning, a lack of vitality. So if that's happening, you might want, standard disclaimers always apply on this one. I would say you definitely want to talk to a doctor if you're having issues with sleep. It could be sleep apnea. There could be something psychological happening. It could be something chemical happening, whatever's going on. I do see sleep quantity, quality, etc. coming through. And maybe that's leading to grumpiness or grogginess. All right. Healing in general, your body, your mind, your spirit is open to that. Let's see what other messages are coming through with respect to health. Definitely now is the time to let go of something. So if maybe it's like drinking too much, eating the wrong foods, smoking, other sorts of addictive behaviors, you're saying enough. I'm going to focus on feeling better, doing better. I'm going to break this cycle. I'm afraid, but I'm going to be able to overcome this because I have the key. I have the ability. You have to take ownership whenever it's something like that, whether it's big or small. This is about saying, yeah, the buck stops here. I'm going to do this. We do see a positive outcome. We do see breaking of a cycle. So I really like that. I think it's a great time to talk things out. So many swords cards came through for you. So it's really going to be important for you to find someone that can listen, someone that can also be honest with you. And that's key. The Sun card can have to sort of deals with the urinary tract. It has to do with the reproductive tract. It can also have to do with the solar plexus. So basically chakras 1 and 2, specifically 2 because of the sun. But again, it can also be the urinary tract for sure. So make sure that you're getting enough water in your diet. Power issues, safety issues, confidence issues come through in a large way with what we're seeing here. And then it affects the organs there. So when we're feeling that tug of war of power, a lot of times our digestion suffers. We have cramps, we have ulcers, we have, just maybe an upset stomach. And it can also lead to other blockages in those organs, and we don't want any of that. So focus on dealing with the power dynamics, and then again, working with a doctor if anything else is popping up, so you can deal with both the body stuff and then also the metaphysical stuff. And again, I'm here for metaphysical, not so much physical. I'll talk about what could happen in the physical, but we're going to focus on metaphysical ways to deal with it as well. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else that wants to come through. We talked at great length about sleep, so I'll just highlight that one last time and say focus on sleep quality and quantity. And ultimately, it's pretty good. Everything else we needed to talk about, we talked about. Okay? So let's focus now on wealth. We have Radha here coming through, and Soul Flame. It says, rediscover a lost part of yourself, experience a relationship harmony and healing. Interesting that this comes through with wealth. So for some of you, there could be this sort of inconvenient moment that pops up where love and work overlap. And so you meet someone that you want to date at the office, and you'll have to kind of navigate that. This could also be showing this really lovely mentorship or friendship that evolves from just a platonic work relationship here. And also, it all begins with you because it says rediscover a lost part of yourself. So when you really find out who you are, someone else is attracted to that because you are in your truth. You're resonating your authentic self. So interesting stuff there. Let's look at this through the lens of work, and let's see how you can improve work relationships. And maybe if there's a mentorship opportunity. We already see that here with the King and the Queen of Swords. So yes, it's a great time to teach or to be taught. So teaching and mentorship coming through in a big way this month if you want to do that, if you're open to it. Looking outside of this message, like I said, stepping into your power and being at peace with that is going to be really important. Some of you have been existing in a place where there is a glass ceiling or there's been limits on how far you can grow. That's going away. It needs to go away. And if it doesn't, then it's time for you to kind of like sever ties there. But definitely this has to, like if you document things, and at a certain point there's enough documentation that people have said that you had a chance towards advancement, or you've done the same work that someone else has, but they were chosen over you. You actually have a case here is what I see. This is a lot of data that backs this up and could be enough to break it down, break the cycle down. So that's important as well. If you have an idea, protect that idea. Patent it, get the copyright, get the legal protection that you need. Make sure that whoever you share it with has the same intentions and desire to see it succeed as you do. I see someone in the past that may have stood in the way or not have been the best advocate. We're not seeing that anymore, but remember that the main message with this is that you need to be the one in the driver's seat. So we have power and power coming through, and not being afraid to sort of like own or lead something, because we want you there sort of being in the spotlight when all of this works out. There are no pentacles. I'm just taking a quick audit of the cards and I'll let you see it. So I'm going to write this down. I always like to check in on something when I see a lack. Because when you're reading cards, the lack of something is also something to focus on. So when I take a look at Reader's Choice, I want to look at why there were no pentacles and just look at resources. One last thing as we go back to the card here in the expanded forecast. Some of you may decide to do something that your parents or society, or maybe just you in general, kind of lost connection with. There's a dream and someone said you couldn't do it. You don't have the skills or the timing or the whatever. All of a sudden now you think, you know what? I really want to explore this part of me, the creative or the practical or the scientific part of me, whatever it is, it's coming through and it's saying, I can do it. I choose to do it. And I'm more powerful than all of these no's around me. So if there's been a bunch of people saying no or pushing back, this is your chance to embrace that and say yes, or I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. All right. Joy and delight are coming through as we're looking at your relationship spread here, or the relationship message. So open your heart to joy. It's your turn. It's your time. Some of you may have not had great luck with love or relationships in the past, as indicated by the Devil card that we saw, but that's about to change, or that's already changing. Let's look at the 3 different types of relationships that I like to focus on. So those of you in love, those of you looking for love, or those of you that are single and happy. Let me take a drink before we do that, and we'll dig into this. Get some clarity. All right, focusing first on existing relationships. This can be either love or platonic. It doesn't matter to me. I read it as the person that you love or care about the most. All right, so as long as communication stays open, great. But I do see 2 people that speak differently. One listens very well. One has a tendency to talk over the other person and may not be constructive in the criticism. So you need to push back on that kind of energy if someone's coming through and is just making you feel bad or only focusing on the negative. You want to sort of show them the bigger picture and basically encourage, I guess, equal footing in the conversation. Staying positive is going to be key. Not being afraid to take the leap of faith if that's something that you want to do, great. And I mentioned before that there could be a not so great cycle. So this could be codependency. The devil isn't always like someone trapping you. It can also be the two of you supporting a habit that doesn't make sense, or needing each other for the wrong reasons and being there for the wrong reasons. So this could be breaking a codependency. This could also be breaking a sort of physical relationship that's gone on after you've broken up. And this is also just about being honest, because the devil comes through when someone isn't honest. Even though this is an ace, I wouldn't normally read it. There could be another point of view coming in. If it's not another person, the Hierophant could be another person. There could be a third party or a third point of view that's coming through, and you have to kind of figure out how that fits between it. For some of you, even just the whole discussion over whether or not to have a child or something about existing children could be a key point to it, because the sun is a baby too. So the sun can also be a man that acts like a baby. So there could be all of that coming through for some of you. But communication is everything, and then honesty. So as long as you have those two pieces, we have actually positive cards in the outcome. So 9 of Cups and Ace of Wands, but you have to get through all of this stuff first to get there. And for some of you, it may just be like enough is enough and you're ready to move on. That's up to you. That's your sort of prerogative. No matter how you sort of slice it or decide what you want to do next, I do see positive cards, and I feel like you're feeling good about the future path. If you're looking for love right now, you have to get through whatever this is first. So moving beyond fear or limitations or dishonesty or something from the past, not being, again, afraid of fear, and taking this leap into the unknown. It looks good. I do feel like if you want to try a new relationship, there's some good things here, but you just have to do the internal healing. And this time, really specify that honesty is important, and your own ability to stand your own ground is going to be important as well. And we have a kind of stubborn person coming through. This is you and who you're attracting on some levels here. So stubborn and a little bit not wanting to be told what to do. So this is where I feel like there could be a butting of heads. It almost feels like you need a little bit of time to just be yourself and be on your own and kind of like take a break. So I feel like whether you're single and looking or single and happy, the message is the same, which is take some time, heal yourself, and focus on maybe traveling, maybe doing something that you love, and just saying like, wow, I forgot what it was like to just be this. For those of you that have been a parent for a long time, and maybe it's empty nest syndrome where the kids have gone to college, sometimes you want to immediately then throw yourself into some other activity or some other person. Spend some time and think, how do I feel with my partner? What do I want to do with this time? And don't rush into anything head first just yet. Just figure out who you are, because part of you was absorbed in another person's experience. This is also true of caretakers. Maybe you were taking care of someone who was sick or needed you, and either they've improved in health or they've moved on, and now that's the codependency of a caretaker, because part of the caretaking piece is that I'm the strong one, I'm going to take care of you. But when that person goes away, then you're like, well, you're still the strong one, by the way. Now you just have to take care of yourself. And for any of you, I recently lost a parent. You can also experience some of this, which is you were thinking a lot about them. Suddenly they're gone, and you're like, well, I'm not going to focus on other things in my life. And you start to feel better when you do that. So whether it's a husband or a wife, a child, a parent, or someone else in your life, and you've been doing a lot, and that person now has either improved or moved on, the empty nest syndrome can be just as important there, of like what to focus on next. And the answer is you, and the strength that was there is still there. And time will heal everything, but for each of us, it's going to take a different amount of time. All right, that's why it's important to keep an open mind, read, experience, and explore new things. But I do see growth on the horizon for all of you. Okay? Everybody's going to be different on this path. You probably should talk to friends that have gone through something like this, a therapist if you would like to. One thing that I've done, kind of going through my own grieving process, and this is the second time that I've lost someone really key. I lost my father before, and I lost my mom now. And it was very different for each person because each person holds a different space. But I started reading. I started connecting more with friends. I started focusing more on health, my own health. And I started to just sort of like get back into the world a little bit more and see like, what was I missing? What is out there? What do I want? Asking myself questions like that. And as I started to fill up my time with other things, the other person doesn't become the focus. So whether, again, whoever it is, an ex, a child, a loved one, you start to remember what it was like to be you without them, and you rediscover yourself. And so Radha comes through to remind us, like, you've always been there. You're still there. There's a lot to love. Okay? And I'm okay. I'm actually in a really good place right now. A few months ago, it was challenging, but I'm in a much better place right now, and stronger because of this experience, and probably a lot more empathetic to people who've been through this. I was talking to that same neighbor outside about a line in this movie from the 80s called Terms of Endearment, where the main character, slight spoiler, you can go over this if you haven't seen it, but she's in the room where her daughter's sick and passes, and basically she's there with her daughter's husband or ex-husband, and she just says, "Oh my God, what a fool I was. I thought it would be easier now that the person's gone." So sometimes, whether the person dies or they divorce us or they leave, we think it'll be so much easier when they're gone. And then we see it. Shirley MacLaine is the actress. She breaks down and she's like, it's not easier. So I'm giving you permission to feel not at ease with a separation when you go through it. But I'm going to tell you this, it can and it will and it does change you for the better, and you will find a way to cope and get through this. And if you can't, there's a lot of resources out there. But in my own experience, I found strength I never thought I had. I'm a really strong person, but I found that I was even stronger than I thought. Because when you're losing your partner, your child, or your parent, it's one of the closest bonds that you have, right? And if you can live through that, you can live through anything that comes your way, okay? So know this, you will find a strength that you didn't think you had. And then the rest of your life it's different. And you're never going to feel probably as vulnerable or helpless or weak as you did before, because you got through that. You can do anything. So I'm going to tell you that even in the most challenging or darkest moment, everything is context. Everything points you in a different light or a different direction. And to me now, I have like a very positive view of that situation. And as an intuitive, I don't talk about it all the time, but like I was given images of what was going to happen before it happened, but I didn't get the timing. And so the angel of death kept coming to me, showing me that things would happen. And so I knew that the spirit world wanted me to be prepared, and it continues to help me through this process. So even if you can't see angels of transformation, they're always there with us, even to transform through like losing a job. Sometimes losing a job, I looked at my dad decades before he passed, and even one of my uncles too, and they were very attached to their position at work, what their title was. My dad kept his like business cards a long time after he left. I've chucked all of mine from my corporate career, I could care less, but my dad kept them, and it really made a difference. Like he was something, and there was like the word senior in front of whatever he was, his title. And when he lost the job, it's sort of like he was lost. He was just ambling around trying to figure out what to do, because no longer was he this person at a company that people came to for something. He was just himself. So for me, I realized like when I quit my job that the title is ridiculous. And, even if someone asks what I do so many different things right now. It would depend on the person that I speak to, like how I would identify. I'm a content creator. I'm a producer. I'm a writer. I'm an intuitive. I'm a coach. I'm all of these things and more. Why should we try to put all these, who cares? I'm also a human being. So they're just titles. Don't get so attached to them. So whether you've lost a sort of like station in life or someone in your life, it's always moving. We have to keep moving through this universe. We don't stop. It's kind of like we're one of the planets moving around. And if something gets thrown out of orbit, our orbit continues. Maybe it's shifted a little bit, but we're still moving. So you're still moving, and you can get through this. And it gets brighter is what we see here at the outcome. So we see something to be happy about, something to write home about, and a new idea. Because this is noteworthy, this is exciting, and this is something that can bring you to the next phase of the journey. But you got to get through this, you got to get through this, and you got to get through this. Okay? That's truth, honesty, letting go of something that doesn't serve you, moving past your fears, and saying, I'm ready to move on. Okay? So that was my going way down a side track there, but it's important because someone said they're sorry. Don't be sorry. I'm in a good place. But thank you for your compassion. I'm just a different person than I was several months ago. And that continues to happen. My dad is what kind of like spurred me on to quitting my job. And who knows what I'll gather from this experience with my mom. But each time I've lost someone, I've typically shifted my trajectory or grown in a way that I didn't expect, because you have to face your own sort of life and mortality and purpose. One thing that you do realize when you have no parents or no relatives or no partner is you have to do this. You have to be able to do this. So you just figure it out. And if I can do it, you can do it. All right? So let's move on to your Destiny card. We have 2 cards here in Destiny. We're going to start with the first one. Everything we've just been talking about, the High Priest. The High Priest is oftentimes what the Hierophant is called in different decks. The High Priest was reversed. We're getting a common thread here. You can't be told what to do. You may not want to do it the way that other people have expected you to do it. So basically be authentic to your own sort of vision, your own sort of path, and write your own ending. Write your own happy ending. And we have here also like intend and create. So like I said, the High Priest carries with it the energy of the Magician and the High Priestess and the Emperor and the Empress. So it has the ability to forge things, and the Fool, and take risks. So it has all of these beautiful energies. So I would say embrace it. I never really looked, if we take the word Hierophant off, I really do like High Priest, because it is sort of like the High Priestess, and this is the next version of the High Priest. It's saying we've got all of those previous energies and then some. And now we have summer. And I was talking about the energy of spring. We have both spring and summer here. So I see a period here over the next 3 months of growth and sustainability for you. And it's going to be busy. The bee is one of the best totems that could come through. And even though it wasn't one that I chose, it chose itself here. So with the bee, there's a couple of questions. Are you leading or are you following? Are you the queen bee or the worker bee or the drone? So I think this is the question here. Do you want to lead or do you want to follow? If you're going to follow, make sure that you pick a good queen bee. But I really feel like you have the capacity to lead right now, and that's what all of these power cards are talking about. All right, let's have fun with the other decks that came through. Since the Fountain deck was almost forgotten, we're going to use this for the next piece. And then I will alternate between the Fountain and, running out of space on my deck, between the Fountain card and the Robin Wood. So we'll start with Fountain as we take a look at the big idea. So for the big idea, let's see what the Fountain deck has to say. All right, so we have the King of Swords coming through yet again in reverse. And just so that we can see all the beautiful synchronicities, here's this King of Swords, here's this King of Swords, both times they're reversed. When we look at this King of Swords, what's kind of cool is the prismatic energy. And mind over matter is kind of what I'm seeing here, since we just see the head or the face, and then everything else is kind of in the prisms of this. So there's another King of Swords that has a similar energy, and that would be in the Light Seer's deck. In the Light Seer's deck, we see that he's like a king of a mountain. He has all these birds and bats and insects around him. And basically, he's at ease. This one, we actually see the messages and the vision kind of going out in all directions. Get clear on what you're trying to say or do, and then do it. So the big idea is know who you are, know what you want to do, and then actually follow through. Walk the walk and talk the talk. And that's all I really need to say for the big idea. someone's expecting a follow through from you. So for sure, follow through on that. All right, let's go ahead and also use this for blessings and blocks. And I think for the viewer's choice, I can use, well, we'll see. Maybe, I think this deck would be beautiful for the not viewer's choice, but I'm gonna use this for the elements, sun, rising, moon. Okay, so we're gonna focus on the next deck for the next few. So for blessings and blocks, just how it sounds, this is something to embrace, something to kind of step away from. Let's see what the message is for you. Okay, I have a card that just wanted to come out and wouldn't stack in there, so it's the Nine of Pentacles, and that's your blessing. Okay. So just as a sidebar, someone's talking about the angel of death. There are different transitional angels, and to be honest, there are almost any archangel can take on that mantle if they need to. Azrael is one, Zerachiel is another, but any angel can carry out the energy of transitioning a soul from its body to heaven, to the other realms that exist out there. So, but Azrael. And here's the thing, with transitional angels, they also help us just get through different parts of our life. So I just wanted to answer that question, okay? So that's that. You can do some Googling on it. Azrael is one of them, and Zerachiel is another. And there are more when you start to kind of look at that. Even Gabriel, who's on the judgment card, or Michael can do the same function because they're agents of the divine. So all of them can take a soul from body to spirit, okay? But Azrael has that specific duty, and that's why I'm talking about it here, because it actually came through. It's so funny. All right, so let's focus on your blessing first. Your blessing card is the Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles reverse, but this is basically saying some of you may be afraid to kind of go down that path of independence. Don't. You're going to be set up for success if you do this, and you are basically just being asked to trust that you can do this, that you can do this on your own. So stepping into a path of maybe a lack of support or just a lack of leadership, you can step into the mantle of leadership, or you can just lean on yourself. You have what it takes to make this work. This is a card basically saying that you're being set up for success. The only thing that can happen sometimes on this is you may be afraid to ask for the clarity, for the support that you need. Don't be afraid to ask. You always have the capacity to kind of reach out, get some information, and be stronger for doing that. This was one of the cards that actually popped up when I was watching the TV show that I was talking about. I think it was like High Priestess and Death that showed up in the show. So I love this Death card because it's not very scary. And this is actually very similar to how I saw Azrael when it came through. Even the TV show or the TV movie, Scrooge with something Scott, I forget his name. But there was an image of death that was pretty close to what I saw, right down to the frequency. Because when I encountered Azrael, it was hooded, and it had this high frequency that kind of accompanied it. It doesn't speak. There was no speech. It told me like I knew what was happening, and it showed me, who was going to pass and everything, but it didn't speak. It doesn't really use communication that much, not like we would know. So the block. You could be stagnating. You could be afraid of opening the new door to whatever stands in front of you. Death is almost saying, how about this? You're done with this, right? I have something better awaiting you. Death is not always literal. Death is transformational and figurative. It's saying, are you done with this now? How about exploring a different way of thinking or being? So we don't have to physically die to be reborn energetically or spiritually or creatively in this lifetime. We get several rebirths if we want them. So death is just coming through and saying, I got another door open here. But in order for that one to happen, there's something here that you have to say goodbye to. Okay? No, it wasn't. It was George C. Scott, I think it was the actor. Someone's asking about that. So it's from the 1980s, and you can see it on streaming services. But basically, It's just the traditional hooded figure that you would see. But there was something specific that whoever wrote that particular made-for-TV movie got right, which was there's a frequency, a sound frequency around the angel of transformation that I didn't expect, that I heard. So the way that it happened, I was like in a dream and I saw my mom and I heard this high-pitched sound. And then I saw her and I saw the angel and I saw a procession of souls. And I knew what was going on, but I didn't get the timing. And she apologized and I told her it's okay to go. It was something that I had to tell her in person for her to go. So I realized that the angel was showing me what I needed to say and letting me know way in advance that something was happening. I actually got that like 2 years before it happened. I had a feeling that time was short. So because of that, I made sure that I didn't get into any arguments and that I tried to wrap up every bit of karma that I could. It was a really nice gift that I got from the universe. And that was that. For you, Azrael is coming through with the same thing. It's saying, you know what needs to come to a close. It could be a job. It could be a habit in your life. It could be a situation which has long outlasted its sort of welcome. And there's something better waiting for you. And it's symbolic in this sort of light. So whether you're going to take 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 years to kind of go through that door is up to you. The block is only here and here. Okay? So you actually got 2 great cards here. One that's saying you can do this, and one is saying, are you ready to do this? All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the viewer's and reader's choice. For this, I'm going to continue with this particular deck, and then I will, when I'm looking at Sun, Rising, and Moon, switch to the other one. I'm just trying to go between the two for you. All right, so viewers and reader's choice. I already know what I want to look at, and that's going to be your the question about sort of like resources, why I don't see them. But let's take a look at some questions that perhaps you could benefit from understanding, and then I'll let you vote on those while I do the reader's choice. All right, so I want to look at making and breaking a cycle here, since that came through, making/breaking a cycle. I also want to look at embracing change. These have similar energies, but embracing change means you've already broke the cycle and you're ready for something new. And I'm going to put like something new. And let's see here. You know, I really love this energy here of rediscovering a lost part of yourself. Rediscovering something lost. Those are tough ones to vote between, so good luck. If 2 win, I'll choose both of them. All right, so while you're doing that, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on with your resources, because I wrote that there were no pentacles. Why are there no pentacles? So let's take a look and see if there's some questions, or not some questions, but some answers around resource management. And yes, we see the pentacles there, but I want to go a little deeper in understanding what's the resistance to maybe doing this on your own. All right, so we have the Page of Cups coming through for this. Page of Cups in reverse, to be specific. So one of the things that I would say here is, for some of you, there could just be an emotional component that's coming through. Also, this is creativity. Some of you are feeling like you're being shot down. Every time you have a creative solution, every time you have an idea, someone just comes through and says no, or makes you feel like you can't go there. So this is a time to, that's especially like a litmus test or a red flag saying, if I can't be myself, if I can't express that, then how am I ever going to be able to grow? Because I'm constantly being, it's like clipping off a rose bud before it actually has a chance to blossom. And that's kind of a nice metaphor for what we see on the Death card. You have to have a chance to express and explore who you are. You also might just be feeling a little bit emotionally overwhelmed. So again, getting some support, getting someone there to kind of help you out will be key. Emotions are getting in the way of the financial component. So don't let fear or anxiety step in. Don't let someone clip your blossom before you've had a chance to explore or express yourself as well. All right, let's see what you chose for me. This one is not a three-way tie. We have a very clear lead with 46%. I'll wait because sometimes what I see changes. Let's see, 45%, 30%, 24%. All right, so making and breaking a cycle is in the lead and has 1. So let's take a look at making and breaking a cycle. So what we're looking at here is the Devil and the 8 of Cups and moving beyond that. So hopefully embracing something new as well. But what is it that you need to make and break that cycle? Okay, it's already, for many of you, happened. So this is another card of death or rebirth. The 4 of Swords is something fading away. So, and I really love the illustration here, and we see a new North Star there kind of guiding the way. So if, for instance, if you've been applying for a job and you haven't heard back for several weeks, several months, it's time to move on. If you've been in a relationship for a long time or at a job for a long time and you've either grown complacent or the other person has grown complacent and nothing's coming through, this is almost like boredom or a lack of return on that energy, then it's also time. You can walk away with an easy heart. There's just thinking like, I've done everything that I can, but this person isn't giving back. And then also for like making and breaking a cycle, this is about letting things just sort of like letting the dust settle before you make the next big move. So as much as, for instance, I wanted to find a place, it's good that it's taken almost 3 months for me because now I'm in a better space. It was too much when I was going through, because I needed to move at the same time my mom passed because all this craziness was happening. So it's good that it took about 3 months before, hopefully in the next month or two, I find something. I'm working on manifesting that now. But it's sometimes better not to move immediately after something big happens. So if you're making a change or if a lot of change is happening, sit with one of the changes for a bit before hopping into the next. Because what you have to do is, again, figure out who am I, what do I want, and why am I doing this, and am I doing the right thing? So allow yourself a chance to kind of go through all of these. You need to get rest. Rest has come through twice with the 9 of Swords and the 4 of Swords. So it's time to focus on putting something to rest, getting enough rest, and also giving yourself enough of a chance for the dust to settle before you hop out into something new. And that's the main message with that, okay? But all of these are good. Of all the sort of chances to move on to something new, this card is nice because it's telling me that the next part of the journey should be gentle, should be kind, should be welcoming. Let's move on now to a relatively new part of this reading, Sun, Rising, and Moon. I'm going to switch to the Fountain deck again. So this is one of the only readings for a monthly one where I'm using 3 decks plus all the Oracle decks. It's a lot of cards. All right, so I'm going to pull all the cards first and then we'll break it down. Just a quick sort of Cliff's Notes version. The Sun card is who you are. It's the sign that you were born under. So for those of you that are Capricorn and you're born under Capricorn, this portion will be for you, the Sun portion. Rising is how you project yourself to the world, to the universe. It's how you're being received. Fun fact, I'm a Capricorn rising. So this will be business and external relationships. And the Moon sign is your secret that you might be keeping, this sort of part of you that you're still discovering, the part that not everybody knows. It's also sometimes your secret power, like it would be the Superman to the Clark Kent, right? So let's see what all of these are and move from there. Sun, Rising, Moon. All right, let's talk these through. We'll start with Capricorn Sun. We got a repeat of the Ace of Wands, this time reversed. It's saying don't overthink things, because if you look at the main spread, you got the Ace of Wands upright. So you know what to do, but you're doubting yourself. So working on issues of self-doubt, that would be part of this. Also, it's a warning to not necessarily act out. So I would say the important thing for you is to take action, to trust your intuition. And if somebody else is triggering you, don't let them get under your skin. Don't act out. Act in the best possible light, try to do what's right, and lead by example. All of these things are coming through when it comes to the sun sign. If you're feeling a lack of inspiration, vitality, or connectedness to whatever you're doing, this card is encouraging you to find out how you can get back into that energy of being inspired. So sometimes we're just bored. Sometimes we just need to shake things up and find a way to kind of get back to something that we love. So you may have outstayed a welcome at a job, or you might be studying a topic at school that you really don't like, or you might be engaged in an extracurricular and it's just like, this isn't for me. Trust what you know. In a bumper sticker way of stating it, it would just say, trust yourself, trust what you know, do what's right. And if you do that, you'll be okay. And be inspired. And if you're lacking the inspiration, go somewhere that you feel inspired. So again, rising and ascendant, this is going to be how you express yourself, how you're being received, what you're projecting. Business and work particularly fall under this. So you've made a decision, or you've been given some sort of a decree. The question is, so now what? What's next? What do you want? Be prepared for someone to ask you in a meeting, in an elevator, on the phone, what do you want? What do you think? What's next? What should I do? So think it through first so that when that question happens, you know what to say and it's not freaking you out on any level. Because and you know, you've watched me long enough, I would just say take a question and remove the question piece of it. So what do you want to do? I would just say, you know what you want to do. You know what to do. So you don't have to, the question is coming because you know the answer. And the judgment card usually indicates that a decision has been made. And it's not about making the decision. It's about deciding what to do about it, what the reaction is. So you already know what to do. How you're going to do it, that's really the question. So you already know the no or the yes. Now you're going to figure out the why and the how. And hopefully that makes it easier for you because there's not this big decision. I was listening to, another friend of mine that's been considering this job for a while, and I knew all along that they didn't want it, but they just needed to decide to say it, and then they had to decide what to do because they didn't want this job that they were offered. And then the power came in once they realized, they even said that, I've been the whole time, thank you for listening because I knew I didn't want it. And I knew they didn't want it either, but it wasn't my job to tell them not to take it. What I did instead was ask them questions. Why do you want to do this? Do you feel like this is a good match for you? How do you feel about this trade-off? I kind of helped them see, like a therapist would, help them get to the decision that they already had made. And I could tell in the way that they were communicating and in the way that they talked about it that it wasn't it. So some of you may be in the same situation where you know, at the back of your head or in the middle, somewhere in your energy, you have that answer, I don't want this, or I really, really want this. All you need to do is give yourself permission to embrace the decision. The other cool thing with this is that it's the resurrection card, okay? So if you've been stuck, if you failed, if you were rejected, if there's been stagnation, judgment comes through to say, well, that's done now. Things are going to change really quickly. A big dose of abundance could be served into your breakfast bowl, and you have to decide, wow, oh my God, this happened so quickly. So you don't want to then doubt yourself and think, well, I'm so used to rejection. You've learned that lesson. Now it's a chance for you to go into something better. So you either have to embrace a decision that you've already made, or you have to digest the fact that, wow, I've changed and now new things are opening up and I don't want to stay stuck in the old programming. Let me take a drink and then we're going to move on to moon. For some of you, the moon sign can indicate something you're still learning about yourself. 7 of Pentacles. We're getting a lot of resource cards as I expand the forecast. The 7 of Pentacles is coming through to say, I know what I need to do and I'm going to do it. I'm not going to leave this with anything on the table. No debts, no unfinished promises. I've learned how to be a stronger and better person. So this card comes through when we're tested one more time, a lot of times after we've overextended ourselves. And this time around, you're not going to do that. So basically making sure that there's no debts is a piece of this. The other thing is you can't rush growth. In a traditional illustration of this, you would see the person sort of arms crossed, looking at a tree or a bush growing and wishing that it was growing a little faster, or frustrated in the time that it's taking for everything to happen. Here we see someone that's a little bit more patient, and patience is the key to success when we're looking at the Seven of Pentacles. Patience, diligence, and making sure that this time around that all your T's are crossed, all your I's are dotted, that everything's accounted for, okay? Your secret sauce, your secret strength with this, the thing that you're learning is that you're recovering. Recovery is happening. It just takes time. The interesting sort of thing here, if we look at the three together, so for the sun sign, you just can't overthink something. You've already been given what you need, and it's just about acting on that. This one is about discovering that you already know. So the sun sign already knows, and they just have to decide how and when. There's still a little bit of acceptance coming through for rising. And for moon, there is the lesson that's still being learned, which is I am recovering. I am capable of this. I am fixing things. So all of these are good, and all of these are future-based and proactive. It's just a question of what do you want to do about it? What's next? Don't overextend yourself. Just for one last thing for the moon sign, don't overextend. Say no. Delegate. If you go in either direction, you're better. Six of Pentacles, balance comes back in. Eight of Pentacles, lesson learned. So you're very close to completion. Don't give up. I believe we have transitioned through all of the main parts of the reading today. We have two extra parts here that are left. One is your final card and final word. So for that, if you've had anything that I haven't answered so far, now you have a chance to see what Spirit wants to say. So stick around and write that down. We're going to meditate between this and that sort of final card. And before we do that, just a quick reminder, I don't do this except maybe 3 times in the whole reading. If you've enjoyed this and you're a longtime viewer, hit the subscribe button. We're really close to a milestone, but it's kind of dragging a bit until I get to the next 325,000. Once I hit that, I'll do a Q&A. So let's make it happen. So if you're new, or if you know someone that would like this, please hit the subscribe or share this with someone that you think would enjoy it. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Follow me on social media for updates. Remember that I don't do private readings and I don't use messages. You can let me know if someone's impersonating me, but otherwise block and report anyone that you see. And if you want to show love and support here, you can do it through Super Sticker and Super Chat. I know we kicked one off today with a really generous contribution, so I want to say thanks to that person. But I'll say everybody's name at the very end, so stick around if you'd like. All right, let's get ready now for the meditation. And today, as I'm looking at all of these cards, I want to see what really feels like a nice sort of energy to meditate with. I feel like I just keep seeing like flying, so I want to use like a hummingbird energy. The ability to move quickly is what I'm seeing, and to sort of like drink in all of the opportunities. I'm just going to choose which instrument to play, so just relax and enjoy, and let's get into this meditation, and then I'll look at your final question. All right, so close your eyes and imagine that you are in a field of sunflowers, much like we saw with the Catalyst card here, hyacinths and sunflowers. So with the sunflowers all around you, a sea of, kind of like what I have on my shirt here, a sea of gold and yellow energy. You feel like there's just this strength and this power around you that you haven't felt in a long time. Imagine that you could lay down in this field of sunflowers, and there's the brilliant gold light above you. There's gold all around you. You start to feel this sort of beautiful gold energy in your solar plexus that's also starting to grow and glow as well. With each breath that you take as you lay down on this meadow floor, you can feel and see the energy coursing through your body until, if you were to look from up above, you wouldn't even see where you began and the meadow ended with all the beautiful yellow. So the yellow color is showing your strength, your power, your connection to the divine and to the sun above you as well. And just like the sun, you have the capacity to attract things. If you'd like to, you can imagine that right around the solar plexus or the heart, that these beautiful sort of petals open up like a sunflower, and you see hummingbirds all around you. instead of becoming a hummingbird, you're welcoming in that energy. And you can see them landing on parts of your body that need to receive a healing. They move their wings very quickly as they descend upon you, and then they just rest there for a moment. And you feel in that moment both the power of speed and movement and also the power of resting. And they're giving you the lesson here of when to push and when to rest, since those were common messages as well. So just relax, just enjoy. I'm going to play the crystal pyramid, and then we're going to come back and take a look at your final question. Take a deep breath, stand up tall, feel that your energy is brighter, lighter, and feel this strength in your body and your mind that you didn't feel before, that you can handle any opportunity that the universe brings your way, that you are strong and bright and ready to receive all of the blessings that the universe has in store for you. And now think about one last question that you would like me to look at. We'll go back to the original deck for this, and I'll take a look and see if there's any additional guidance here for this final card. All right, so we have Queen of Wands coming through like a cobra, or sorry, the King of Wands coming through like a cobra here. So this would be a yes card. Basically, the King of Wands is the ultimate boss energy that I could pull in tarot. Interesting sort of indication or illustration of what that might look like here with the snake coming through. So I like snake energy because it's powerful, because it's strong, because it knows timing. So I think timing is key. So it would be a yes, comma, but timing is the most important piece. So if you're going to have an important conversation, focus on the timing, and then also focus on choosing choosing your words, choosing how and where to make this happen as well. There's a lot of thought and sort of pre-planning that goes into this thing happening for you in the right way. This can also be the kind of person that you are pulling into your life, a really strong energy. This is also a card of leadership. So to make the next thing happen in your life, being decisive and also really being strong in your leadership is going to be essential here, okay? There could also be some healing that's taking place between you and some paternal energy in your life. Overall, I like the King of Wands, one of my favorite cards. When it's upright, it's a yes, and there's not much that you have to think about to kind of like go down that rabbit hole. I would just say, yes, be a leader, pick your timing, pick your moment well, And it is about showing things, not necessarily overly communicating things. So if there is something that you need to help someone understand, visual aids and nonverbal communication cues are going to be really important as well. Okay, everyone? That, my friends, is today's reading. Before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you. Thanks to everybody who joined, whether it's your first time here. And again, if it's your first time, hit the subscribe button and come back in the future. I hope you do. I see a lot of familiar faces as I look at my monitor on the side, a bunch of folks with green text. So thank you to my longtime members for supporting me and for just the longtime viewers as well. All right, I'm going to take a couple of moments now to acknowledge anyone that became a member today or gave back with super stickers or super chat. So here we go. Starting first with the brand new members. Welcome to Starshine Leo 811. Thank you for joining. It's your first time here as a member. I can see that. Chelsea L, thank you for rejoining after 9 months. And those were the two that have joined in the last day or so. And now looking back at super stickers and super chat for today, let's begin with this. Let's see, there were two actually from this morning. So we have very early, some of you did it before I started. So we have Anushree, thank you so much for kicking things off. Christine Chen, Tahoe, and then when I joined, Michael for the 111. I appreciate that. That was really kind of you. And then Darcy Rollins and Michelle Buckoff. I think that is everybody from today. So thank you so much for being a part of today's reading. I appreciate it. And let's see if there's anything else that I need to talk about. Let's just talk about the upcoming schedule. So I was reading for Capricorn today, which means that Aquarius will be next. And then we're going to do the collective reading on the weekend. I'll be reading for Pisces next week, and we have a bonus reading on Thursday. After I do Pisces, I'll put a poll out there for things that we can talk about for the bonus reading. That usually takes on any sort of shape that it needs to. I have a lot of fun with those, so I'll just kind of figure it out. And they're not as long, and they're again, it's kind of fun for me because I may only do, I may or may not do a Celtic Cross. We may just do a bunch of small reads and get a bunch of things dealt with on that. So whatever the guides are bringing through almost a week from now, I'll take a look at. So we have a bonus reading coming up as well. All right, everybody, thank you very much for joining. I hope you enjoyed today. Do something kind for yourself, and lots of love and light, all right? Thanks for making today a great day, and thanks for joining in. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.